Are you living with purpose on a daily basis? Maybe you're like me, where I found out that I would figure out what my purpose is, go through some power questions, and then even create a vision board and some goals for the year, and then really only think about that like annually, maybe revisit quarterly. And I've slowly learned that living with purpose brings so many things in life if you do it on a daily basis. So you can remind yourself why you're here and what you're doing to help out in this world. And so I put together this Power 10 Questions guide that I often help take my clients through. And I want to actually go through that with you today. You can access the free guide below. And I'm also going to share not only the questions, I'm going to talk about the questions, and I'm going to share how I personally approach the questions so that you can think from your own perspective and reflect on it as well. And so, here we go. All right, so again, I created this guide to help think through why you're on this earth, right? And how can you serve people? What excites you? What would a day in a life look like if you lived your perfect day every single day? How about if you lived that and you lived healthily till 100 or more and you were still living that purpose and serving others in however capacity that you choose? So let's go through this Power 10 Questions and then access the free guide below so that you can just take this guide and some of the links here to help you as well. So, question number 1. Why am I here? How many times do you ask that question to yourself? Do you ever sit there in the morning and reflect like, why am I here? Am I doing what I'm put on this earth to do? Am I connected? Do I feel greatness and thoughtfulness and gratitude with everything that I'm doing as to why I'm here? And so really ask yourself that question. And so what does it look like? Well, when I ask my question, these are the 4 things that come top of mind to me, okay? Why am I here? To teach life principles to my kids and our youth to better humanity, okay? To help others with living and not dying. And what I mean by that is a lot of times we get distracted in life and we wake up one day and we're not in a good state of health. And so I like to teach people how to get back to that state of health that they deserve so that they're not slowly dying and feeling terrible every day that they wake up, okay? To empower others to believe in themselves and a better way. And so this comes from a personal journey too, right? So we go through these things, and sometimes the best place that we show up in this world and serve others comes from our own reflections and learnings, even back to when you were a kid. And so I like to believe that this is an area that I have focused on much of my life, is in empowering myself, believing in myself, always exploring other ways and alternatives, and keeping an open mind. That helps me bring presence. It helps me actually show up with value in this world, okay? The last one I had was to be a guide in light and health and wellness. In other words, how do I show up on a daily basis and be a leader? Not so much as to create a following, but how to actually show up and be a leader in a space that people really look for, right? They really look for to live more healthily. They look for wellness. They look for ways that they can show up to not only value themselves, but show up as that for others, their kids, their parents, their friends. And so I like to show up in that manner on a daily basis and find new ways. And I seem to lean towards education like I'm doing right now. It's one of the ways to guide that journey, okay? Question number 2. What service can I provide to the world? There are many different things that we can come up with, right? And we can go through a laundry list of things that may or may not be skills of yours or expertise or knowledge learned, but really bringing that to light. Like, what services could you actually bring to the world and that excite you to bring to the world, okay? So here are some examples. What services can I bring to the world? Guiding or giving of time, money, and teachings. And so a lot of times when we talk about how we can give back, if we're not used to giving back or volunteering in the community, sometimes it just looks in the form of a monetarily benefit to maybe an organization you care about, and that's great. So what I'd like you to encourage is, like, what else? Like, what kind of opportunity would you create? Maybe a different ripple in your life if you put yourself in an uncomfortable place and you went out and you volunteered for something that you would never normally do, right? or you just sat there and listened to show up in places where people are needing of help and just you happen to be there, right? And so how can you do that and blend all those types of things? So your time, your money, and maybe even your teachings. What are you learning that you could turn around and teach at least one other person, right? Health coaching. That's something that I live and breathe in every day. I love that. I love when people come to me for advice. What I consider to be not so much of advice, is just more of empowerment. Like, how can I teach them to empower themselves to seek the answers and then guide them through things that I've learned to help expedite their journey towards health and wellness, okay? Health courses. How could I teach them to learn something different that may help them get to where they want to be that they're not doing today, right? Many times when people are struggling with, let's say, weight, they look for a fad diet or calorie restriction or things that just may work a little bit but don't work in the long term, right? And so how can you get healthy first and then build a lifestyle of balance? And so I love teaching that in course formats so people can, again, expedite their learning and their health. And the last one that I put on here is brain mastering. I did this from a personal journey of learning how to retrain my mind, retrain those negative thoughts, get out of that place of, depression or anything like that, or even distracted thinking so that you can't focus on the things that you love that love you back. And so how could you wake up every day and do things for your brain that will love you back? And so I love teaching that as well. How will I leave the world a better place? Question number 3. And so get deep with this, right? And so if you were to get up every day and you said, how would I leave this world a better place? Maybe even think about all the things that you do on a daily basis that don't leave the world as a better place, right? It could be you get stressed about something and you overreact, or you yell, or you do something with your kids that we normally do, or maybe you act with a family or friend member and then you regret that. Then you have to go through a place of forgiveness, and those things happen. But what would it look like if you reflected and did it a little differently? So you showed up and you left the world in a better place every single day, even if it was just one change, okay? So what does this look like? So for me personally, having presence and life principles that I can teach to my sons and my daughter, okay? And so I feel that if I am present, I'm able to actually live to guide them instead of telling them what they should do. So I'm listening, I'm embracing their personalities, and I'm helping guide them to where they want to be. And maybe they don't know that yet, but I'm kind of there to just kind of keep lifting them up and show them their way, okay? Not my way, but their way. And if I'm teaching life principles, that also means that I'm teaching myself, right? And so maybe you've heard that in life, like oftentimes we teach others things that we are often teaching ourselves. And there's this reflection cycle, right? Which is learn, teach, learn. And so think about how you go through that with life. But if you're teaching somebody else, you're likely teaching yourself. Presence and life principles taught to the youth through community events and youth sports. So I absolutely love coaching youth sports. I coach all my kids' sports. That's flag football, soccer, t-ball, baseball, what else? Basketball. And so some of those areas I'm decently knowledgeable and experienced at. Some of them I am not. But what I love to do is just show up. I show up. I have fun with the kids, create fun ways for them to learn, build in life principles. I remember even teaching the latest travel basketball team. We got in a huddle, and most huddles are like rah-rah, talking about skill development, learning, coachability, attitude. But I kind of sidelined that, and I started talking about breathing. I started teaching the kids, when you're out there, guys, I want you to think about breathing through your nose. And I want you to think about breathing through your nose when you're going to school and class, because it's something you're not taught in life. And we grow up and we learn to breathe through our mouth, and we take deep breaths when we feel out of breath, and we train, we work out, and we breathe through our mouth. But breathing through your nose is what really God gifted us the ability to do, and then eat and speak with your mouth. And so I like to weave those things in. So find ways to do that as well. And then most importantly, value myself. And so there are a lot of times where I've seen things creep up where I devalue myself. And it's like, where does this come from? Because sometimes when I get on projects and I feel lit up and excited like I'm doing right now, I still find moments where I like want to say, why didn't that work, or what did I do wrong? And those are the wrong questions to ask. Those are usually the first thoughts that you have that shouldn't serve you, and you need to just kick those thoughts away and move past it. So you know what the saying is like the first negative thought is to see if you're going to catch you on your toes, and if there's a learning moment in there, so that you can rethink that thought and live your best self, value yourself. Okay? Question number 4. Where can I grow as an individual related to my interest? And so, what do you like to do? Like, it's one thing to wake up and just put in the work. And, you know, there's always a saying, too, like, we may not like to do dishes or take the garbage out, but sometimes those things are just responsibilities we have to do, right? So we get them done. But what do you like to do? Because that's what really is going to light the fire for you every day, okay? So, if we talk about that, where can I grow as an individual related to my interest, okay? So, take action and growth together. That is something that I personally like to do. I like to live with an abundance attitude, okay? I like to believe in myself on a daily basis, and I instill that through meditation, writing, journaling, okay? Seek out and live with purpose, not just pleasure. And so how many times a day do we go through each day where we start to do things and we're doing it because of a pleasure aspect, right? And so I would encourage you to think through, well, am I doing this because it just randomly brings me bursts of pleasure? Or is it something that's growing me and I actually like to do it, okay? So I'm seeking the purpose. Welcome in abundance, wealth, love, kindness into my life. Be deserving of all things. I mean, how many times do maybe you do something great and somebody tells you that, and then all of a sudden you kick it to the side, and it's like you don't believe that you deserve the recognition, the accolades, or somebody to tell you thank you. Just embrace that, knowing that you are deserving of those recognitions, okay? Seek internal acceptance, not external acceptance. So think about what serves you from within and live in that and hone in on that, okay? And then I put breakthrough limiting beliefs that are holding me back. So this one is a constant struggle, not only for me, but I believe for most people, because we get into this place where something doesn't hit the expectation that we thought it would. And so we get into these limiting beliefs and we go to approach something similar, and then we have that little bit of a pain point, obstacle, or constraint that we had, and we resurface it, when really we just need to learn to break through. And so how can you show up and do those things and grow yourself individually, okay? Number 5, what am I working on that leads to a sense of wonder, excitement, and enthusiasm? And so what ignites you? Like when you get up every day, like there are things that, you know, when you go to talk to somebody, like they can just feel the energy, or you feel the energy, or when you're doing it, you feel the energy, right? So what is that wonder and excitement for you? So here are a few things that showed up for me, okay? Functional health. I love learning about the body and how it's all connected, like how your gut is connected to your brain, and how your liver and your detox systems work for you, and how that's connected to, synthesizing and producing your active thyroid hormones, and how do your steroidal or sex hormones work in the body? How does that create energy metabolism? What does your intestines look like? I love that. Okay, so that's something that lights me up. And I know that it's key not only for me, but for others to learn too, because there's so many quick fixes in the world, right? Take this medication and hope it works, or take this medication plus these 5 others. And it doesn't actually teach you anything about what could actually be going on. So I love what I do because it's always a mystery, and each person's perspective or journey is a little bit different, and that's what I love, okay? Root causing health problems, and I just talked about that a lot. Like if you have thyroid problems, not just solely focused on the thyroid, what else could it be? Is it a mineral imbalance? Is it a vitamin imbalance? Is it a liver blockage? Because you actually need to, convert free T4 to T3 through the liver. And so, not to get down in the weeds, but how can we root cause those problems? I love that. Nutrition programs for athletes. I recently had an opportunity where I connected with a head wrestling coach here in the state of Michigan, and we talked about, all the old methods of how to help wrestlers get to a particular weight to wrestle at, and all the old methods of like water loading and restrictive eating and all that stuff. And we said, well, what if you actually built in nutrition lifestyle and you taught athletes this? Not only would they learn to reach that weight in a healthy perspective, they're gaining foundational nutrition principles for their life. Like they can take that past athleticism and working in school, and they can start to live their life even into adulthood. And even if they get into a place where they struggle with nutrition, they still have the basic foundation of principles that they can come back to instead of having to learn it once they get to a place where it takes a lot of digging to get back. So we came up with this idea where we built like this nutrition program algorithm. It calculates like macronutrition rates to hit for age, height, weight of the athlete, where they want to be, their maximum muscle capacity, if they want to lift and build more muscle mass. It's amazing. So we created that and we put it within a website, and we're going to be launching that soon. So those types of things excite me as well, like collaboration in the community and thinking differently. Youth sports coaching, I mentioned before, that lights me up. Trading cards. As a kid, I grew up actually collecting trading cards, mostly basketball, a little bit of football and baseball, and kind of got away with it after I went off to college, but now my kids are interested in it, so it's kind of brought it back, and it's a fun hobby. The kids love it. We love to talk about it. We do it, and so, find those things and those passions too, and so that's exciting for me and for my kids. Meeting new people. I too, like many people, like came off of COVID and got comfortable, like doing the virtual world and living in that, and just thinking you can create everything from virtual courses and stuff. And I do that, and I love teaching. But I sure find excitement in reconnecting with people, family, friends, and then meeting new people and connecting and growing with new businesses. And so I'm now back in that space, and I find so much excitement and energy out of that. So that brings me a joy and excitement too. And then giving back in unique ways. So I mentioned this earlier, but I will often find different ways to put me in places to give back. So in other words, I have organizations that I support, like one of them is Making Soil, which helps, composting and turning soil and then giving it back to like regenerative farmers and everything to help grow crops for the communities. I also give back through an organization called Stop Sis, which is Stop Suffering in Silence. But past that, I'll put myself in situations to be able to give back. I'll show up at a coffee shop, and not only will I get a tea for myself, I will actually pay $20, $25, $30 to create a gift card, and then have them basically swipe it and pay for everybody behind me to get a coffee or their beverage. And I don't even know who these people are. I may not even connect with them. They may not even see me. It doesn't matter. It's just, how could I help serve somebody, maybe even make their day? Sometimes I show up in random places, and you never know, like a random person could show up in need of help. They don't have money or something, and you're right there to help either, offer them some advice, some tips, a loving hand, or even money or whatever it is. And all you had to do was just listen and show up. And so what does that place look like for you? And create those opportunities, okay? Number 6, what project can I start that may not be finished within my lifetime, but would be worth my time and effort? Now, this one is awesome. So back in the day, I used to speak a lot in schools, and I would call this planting a tree that you would never see grow to full fruition, okay? And so one of the things I leaned on early in life in agriculture was how I could help teach, agricultural systems and food systems and how food grows, and slowly start to reshape the food industry, which is a huge overtaking. I would never see the change probably in my lifetime. There are so many people that are working on this food as medicine movement and everything. But I took one step, and I started to work in local food supply chains. I used to walk on the farms with farmers and attend farmers markets, created a couple of agricultural apps, met with so many people to kind of advance the mission forward. And I knew that it was just the beginning. And I still have a little hand in that space. Now I'm more on the functional health perspective. And it's the same thing. Like, there's so much out there around the pharmaceutical world, and, treatment versus prevention, and insurance companies mostly favoring, pharmaceutical routes and prescription drugs versus helping natural health services, and how do you break that down? And so those are the things that surface for me, is like, how can I actually put a footprint into that? How can I show up and maybe slowly start to shift the dial towards natural medicine and helping people think in a holistic way, or really a natural way that they were gifted when they were born, and it's getting back to that and helping teach them and learn, and then allowing them to use whatever means possible to access that and use that as a resource without any constraints or limitations. So I'm going to live in that space, and I'm going to continue to push the envelope, and I may not see the fruition of that. But here's a few other things that came to mind for me. A memoir of my life. I want to do like an ongoing life podcast or even a ongoing life book, and write it from the stage of how I went from, bullying, being bullied as a kid, to, semi-success in the corporate world, to signs of, depression or mental problems, to shifting into agriculture, to, journeys and challenges through entrepreneurship and growing a business and being a first-time dad and marriage and relationships and everything that you go through in life and how I experienced that. I want to write about that. And I want to share that with you, and I want to help people think through that and live through that and either pick up a perspective of that, or maybe they even relate on at multiple levels, and just be able to share that experience. And so I want to live in that moment and continue to share that. And then I talked about the other ones of overhauling healthcare systems and insurance for natural health. Number 7, what can I teach to others? So many things come to mind here, and sometimes I have to narrow my focus down, right? This is where the racing analytical mind shifts in for me. But functional breathing, because I'm trained from Oxygen Advantage, brain training, and my trainings from Amen Clinics, functional health, functional medicine, precision labs, helping people access, an internal view of the body past traditional blood work, and then teaching them about that. Because many times you go and you get blood work done, and it's a, thumbs up or thumbs down from your doctor, and some of them are just not trained in it, right? And especially if you get into precision labs, they go way beyond that and be able to teach that. And so I love that. I love sitting here next to me with my client, showing them a hormone lab or a cortisol lab or an organic acids lab, and teaching them everything that they're seeing, why it shows up, where it could have came from. If they remember, this is kind of a lifestyle change that they made and when they started to see symptoms, and then ultimately what they can precisely do about it. And I just love that, okay? Nutrition, how to eat with your body, with your hormones, with exercising and sleep, how to leverage fasting when it matters, intermittent, prolonged, to heal the body. Autoimmune reversal. Are you in a state of autoimmune health that you can slowly start to reverse, get your immune system back, stop it from fighting itself, okay? Self-healing. How can you leverage just natural, nature-based protocols that to help heal yourself? And a lot of them are free, like functional breathing, going for walks, getting in your steps and movements, right? Eating good, healthy nutrition, being out in nature, going to a nature preserve or walking in that, getting enough sunlight, okay? All of those things are free and helping people get back to that. Stress management, okay? Meditation. Sleep health, and prioritizing sleep above a lot of other things. And many times we think we have to do, and we're just human doers instead of human beings. Sleep will kind of help you restore the body. It'll help you restore the mind. So impactful, okay? Stress management, meditation techniques, visioning, creating vision boards. I love that. I've created mine. I've shared it with many other people. If you're interested in mine, I'll share every technique. There's actually a link in this guide about that. Ideation, how to take a thought and actually put it on paper, map it out, meet with people, break it down, and actually start to deliver something. Maybe create an app or something. I love doing that, and I can help you through that process. And then being a awesome dad and husband. And that is really at the foundational level, and I love teaching that, okay? So anytime I have a chance to connect with another dad and we have a chance to collaborate and to connect on ideas, how can we reflect on ways to be better? How did we show up today? How do we show up for our kids? What do our kids see of us? What are our perspectives? Are you asking other people what they see and think of you because you might be missing something? And so showing up as a great dad and a husband, and then reflecting on those and learning from others, and then teaching others that are in need of help. Question number 8, if I knew I was going to live to be 100 years old healthily, what could I do differently? And this is a space that I have dove deeply into, because I went back to school in a program called High Performance Health for 6 months and learned about why we age and 18 biomarkers that indicate aging at a faster rate, and how you could slow that down through lifestyle factors, through nutrition, through precision medicine, and just having a pulse of your life. And so when I go through this question, like, to me, it's you deserve to live to 100 and past that healthily, and you can reach that, and you can do that today. And I encourage you to start to think about that. But now that you got your brain going, what would it look like if you lived to be that? And what would you wake up doing? And so here are some of the things that I wrote down, okay? I would prioritize sleep more. I'm doing an excellent, better job at it now, but I wasn't Like I was waking up and I was getting 4 hours of sleep, and I thought that I was a warrior and a ninja and that I could live off of 4 hours of sleep, And I just slowly burned myself out to the ground, ended up with a lot of metabolism problems, even autoimmune issues, okay? And so I've slowly gotten back to that. It slowly migrated up to 6 hours, 6.5. And now I honestly get around 7 hours. I'd like to get that up to 8 as I'm slowly starting to build in better sleep regimen. So that's what it looks like to me, is prioritizing sleep 8 hours or more so that I can make sure I hit close to all my 4 sleep cycles, but mostly, my 2 hours of REM and 2 hours of deep, okay? Being kind to myself on a daily basis, mining my thoughts. Am I actually thinking of myself in a positive way? Am I serving myself? Am I doing things to actually help myself? Forgiving others, finding moments to forgive things in the past, the present, and anything that shows up in the future, and finding a way to do that faster. Don't hold on to things, okay? And so I'm going to find a better way to do that, and that's what I would be doing today to live to be 100. Foregoing things that I enjoy that don't serve me. Honestly, I've kind of grown into this thing where sometimes I occasionally like to take, energy shots, and it used to be the terrible ones of the 5-hour energies back in the day. Now I've found more natural health ones. I still enjoy them, and I know that they're ideally not the way, but it's something I find enjoyment, but I'd like to just get rid of those, right? They're not necessary. That's something I'd love to do. Live with purpose daily and revisit these Power 10 questions on a daily basis. Give me that ignite. Laugh more often. Find ways to have humor. There's tons of research on there about humor and how it does for your health, and it creates all these oxytocin levels in the body, and there's studies done where people like Suzanne Summers used humor to help treat or cure cancer. And so amazing things around humor, and so how I could build that into my day more often. And then this is something I want to get back to, which is engage in adult activities and sports, which I used to do coming out of college, right? I played, YMCA basketball, I did softball, and I played in adult flag football leagues, and then I had kids, and now I live through coaching, which is amazing. But I like to get back to that journey with myself and be a little bit of a kid and exercise that youth in me, that movement, that exercise, keep me young. And so get back to the youth basket, or get back to the adult basketball and the adult softball, maybe flag football, maybe even a golf league or so, and maybe even try something different like pickleball. Okay. Number 9, what if something that brings me joy now that I can incorporate into my schedule every day? Okay. So what is something that you could do at least once every day that loves you, or that you would love to do that loves you back and excites you, okay? And we talked about things earlier, but what's one thing, okay? And so here are some things that showed up for me, and I'm going to think about how I can do just one of these on a daily basis, and it could shift about which one I do. Teach others, whether that's through teaching online, like right now, teaching others in the community, through speaking events, community engagement groups, classes. Meet someone new. Find a way to just put myself in a place to meet someone new, whether that's through youth sports, through the business, through meeting other people in their business and helping them, giving back in unique ways, welcoming one person in my life. I like to think like every time I walk into my office and my door's open, I open my door and I imagine someone new walking in, sitting with me, sharing their journey and their story with me, connecting with me, building trust, and slowly getting to a place where, I might be able to help them. And I imagine that experience. So I want to welcome that in on a daily basis. Be present with my kids. Put all my work and my personal journeys and all that aside. And when I show up at home, I am present with my wife and my kids, each one of them. Even if they're all like, and we know if you have more kids, I have 4. Dad, like they're all trying to talk at the same time, but finding a way to bring presence in every single moment, whether that's acknowledging that and moving on to one and giving them complete eye contact, not always solutioning, thinking in what they're asking, guiding them to their own journey, like being present for them. That is huge for me. And then most importantly, being present for my wife, right? Like showing up, listening to her needs and wants and desires, trying not to solution, which is, oftentimes it's coined as like a man's thing to do. And I find myself in that trap. So I try not to do that. I try to sit back and not solution as much and find more presence, okay? And then think more highly of myself. Believe in myself on a daily basis. And sometimes this takes more work, and that's why I wake up and I journal and I meditate and I think and I write, because I know it's there, and I know that there's those not self-serving thoughts that come in my life, and I want to break those down, okay? Question number 10. what does a perfect day look like to me now and in semi-retirement? And so the word retirement I have a hard time with, because I learned a long time ago that, is there really such thing as retirement if you're living what you love to do on a daily basis? You found a way to, earn an income and build wealth through that. And then maybe you slowly, stop from doing many activities related to that, and you spend more time, traveling with family, with friends, giving back, philanthropy, but you're still doing what you love. So is that really retirement, right? I mean, it's really just a different perspective and a different way of living that you want to do at certain stages in your life. But regardless of that, what does that look like for you? So I detailed out my exact day here. I want to encourage you to do that yourself, okay? So what does that look like? Wake up every day with the sun, not an alarm, okay? Journal about gratitude and things that I love and vision and purpose. Exercise for 30 to 60 minutes. Meditate for 30 to 60 minutes. Sauna for 30 to 45 minutes. Maybe even blend that in. So maybe do a meditation inside the sauna, right? Take a shower. Do some ideation inside the shower, right? I mean, you ever find like you get the most ideas when you're in the shower? It's because you don't have all these distractions and engagements, right? Serve in the community. So find a way to volunteer, at least for a little bit of time, whatever that looks like. Teach something new in the community, whether that's virtually or in person. Engage or enjoy an awesome lunch and time with my wife. Speed read a book for 60 minutes. Teach what I learn in that book. Spend time with my kids. If they're off doing their own thing, that's great. Maybe it's a phone call that we do. Otherwise, if they're in the community, we'd love to find a way to connect. Call my brother to check in and build that relationship and keep it strong. Play an adult sport. Again, I mentioned that earlier. Have dinner with my wife. Spend time with my wife talking about things. Maybe sitting on the porch with a cup of tea, or walking a nature trail, or enjoying a nice dinner out at an awesome restaurant, something like that. Reflecting on my day. Maybe even connecting with neighbors. I love doing that as well. Reflecting on my day as we go to the end of the night. Journaling with gratitude and all of the reflections from my day. Wind down again and spend time with my wife, and then focus on sleeping 8 hours a day. So there you go. That would be like an ideal life in retirement, and especially it would be at the ideal location. Like I've always envisioned living, somewhere at a house that we build in the woods, connecting with nature, awesome lookout on the porch, maybe even surrounded by a local lake or something like that. So think about those things on your vision board, okay? So check out that Power 10 questions. I hope this training was helpful. Please consider taking this time to yourself, because it's amazing, and then you can look back on this on a daily basis. At the bottom of this guide, there's a vision board resource. There's creating a bucket list resource, planning your 12-week year, which is amazing. And then some of the journals I've used along the way that are awesome, okay? So like a Moleskine journal, an Epic journal, a Freedom journal, which is what I use on a daily basis, okay? So access this free guide. I appreciate you sticking with me on this training, and I hope this helps you find purpose in your life and what you want to do to help ignite, because you have amazing things to offer in life, and when you do, you show up in the best way possible. So I'll see you next time.